Hello and welcome to TheraTay. I am your co-host Ashley, and this is my co-host Katie. We are not therapy, but we are super fun, and we have another episode to respond to a comment that we got. And in this comment, this person requested the song Renegade, so I can't wait to also get into that song. So here's the comment from Mac, also on our song therapy episode for Exile. She says, I love the song and I'm halfway through listening to the episode. Great job so far. I need to see if you have done an episode on Renegade by her with Bon Iver and Big Red Machine. And if you haven't, would you? I can see similarities between the characters in the song and that one. What other songs of hers would you connect this to? Tolerate It, Happiness. I will see if you discuss that somewhere deeper in the episode. So, Mac, thank you so much for your comment and for thoughtfully engaging with our stuff. Like, how fun. I loved getting this. And yeah, anytime we get a song request, we are down. We love talking about Taylor. So, we're going to talk about that song and break it down. But first, Katie, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the connections between this song and Exile.
Oh, absolutely. I think Mac had great insight and seeing the parallels between the two. And really I think we've done a deep dive on Exile, so I'm gonna let, people listen to that if you don't know the themes of that song. But Renegade really goes pretty deep. It's exploring attachment and boundaries and mental health as a possible excuse for harmful behavior. It's confrontation, it's potential deception or misreading a situation, it's intentions versus impact, it's potential manipulation, it's roles and responsibilities in a relationship. So, if you know the song Exile, are you seeing the similarities?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. The lyric, You Were My Town, and I talked about the lyric, I'm stepping out the side door or whatever she says about the side door. And
Yeah.
then in this song, we're talking about window blinds. There's a lot of like home analogy here.
Yes. Oh, that's a good insight. I hadn't even realized the fact that a home is a parallel between the two songs. That's great insight.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, any thoughts specifically about any like things with Exile that connected to the song? If not, that's okay. I just want to give you the opportunity.
Yeah, I just like the broad themes of both of the songs really sounded parallel to me. Like, for example, Exile and Tolerate It are both about relationships that are kind of quote unquote on the rocks. And and then somebody finally or both people finally choosing to leave or end the relationship. And in Renegade, you're hearing somebody say, here's some patterns, here's some things I'm noticing, and it doesn't say that they're leaving the relationship, but it's definitely some pretty strong confrontation, and it's kind of implied that you know, I might need to leave this dynamic, or I never would have been in this dynamic had I known in
Mhm.
advance. So yeah, and Mac did bring up happiness. And that's interesting. I can see where you're coming from with that song because happiness is all about finding happiness on the other side of a broken relationship and realizing that it was a mix of positive and negatives. And personally, I feel like Renegade to me feels like it's addressing potential manipulation. And I don't know that I got that vibe from happiness. So I actually see them a little bit different, because happiness has this strong, redemptive, things were bad, things were good. And I take it as both. Whereas Renegade, she's just pretty much bringing straight fire.
Mhm.
It's just confrontation the whole way through.
Mhm.
But that's my personal take, and I'm open to being wrong about that, and I'm open to hearing other people's thoughts and opinions as well. So, yeah, what do you
Well,
think?
I can't wait to talk to you about that because I didn't hear a lot about of conflict in Renegade.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
You can't see Ashley's face, but it's just frozen in this half smile of where is Katie going with this?
I just know that it's going to be a good episode when you and I are coming back from like two very different places.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The only thing that came to mind for me as far as like similarities with Exile or like feeling excluded from a partner
Hmm.
right? Because it's like if we're picturing the house, like I'm tapping on the window and you're not opening up the blinds, right? And then
Yeah.
with Exile, I never learned to read your mind. Like I don't know what you need. Just like
Yeah.
wanting a connection with this person, but just like not knowing how to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
maybe into like there was nowhere for me to stay, but I stayed anyway. Like I really tried. Like in Exile, it's talking about I gave you so many chances, and this one it's saying like I was making this work even when it wasn't working for me.
Hmm.
Like there's just this thread of like I've given this relationship my all. I've put in a lot of effort here, and I'm not feeling like you're reciprocating in the ways that I need you to.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, shall we go into it?
Let's get into it. I am so pumped for this episode, Ashley.
Me too. Me too.
This song to our attention.
Definitely. So let's start with you. What lyrics are you going to pull from, or do you want to bring those in as we go?
Yeah, I can list the lyrics. One of them you already mentioned. I tapped on your window on your darkest night. There was nowhere for me to stay, but I stayed anyway. Is it insensitive for me to say, get your shit together so I can love you? Is it really your anxiety that stops you from giving me everything? Or do you just not want to? I'm very excited to get into that lyric. And if I would have known how sharp the pieces were you've crumbled into, I might have let them lay. Let all your damage damage me, and carry your baggage up my street and make me your future history. Is it really your anxiety? Oh, I think I already read that one. Okay, I had that one listed twice. Oops.
It's so good. It should be listed twice.
I think I addressed it twice. Yeah, so those are the lyrics that I will be covering today.
Okay. Okay. Well, I know we say this every episode, but listeners, if you haven't listened to the song, go listen, then come back because wow, it's so good. Um, I feel like we should make a sticker out of that at this point because we say it almost every time. But Katie, what would you be asking this client?
When did you realize this relationship maybe isn't going to work? What were your signs?
Hmm.
And what were your breaking points? Like maybe you've heard the phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back. And there's a little bit of that sense to the song. Um, that like it just kept like this was far more intense than you thought. There was just thing after thing after thing, and it's kind of like progressively getting worse. There's also a lyric that says, there was nowhere for me to stay, but I stayed anyway. And so I'm curious, what keeps you in the relationship? What made you, quote unquote, tap on the window of someone's, quote, darkest night? What
Hmm.
drew you in? And I think it's really important for us to have self awareness of the characteristics or the dynamics that we tend to find ourselves drawn to in others, because that gives us a lot of information and insight about ourselves. Generally we're seeking out something, even if it's subconscious, and often it is subconscious. And we need to make the subconscious conscious, as Carl Jung would say, right? Like that's kind of the whole point of therapy. So
Hmm.
those were some questions that came up for me.
Yeah, yeah, great questions. And I think we have some similarities, but I worded them like slightly differently. So it'll be interesting to talk about the nuance there too. So tell me what you'd be validating.
Yes, it's okay to ask someone to get their shit together so you can love them.
Tell me all the things.
Say what?
Tell me all the things. Tell me why you take that perspective.
Because depending on how you handle that, it could be insensitive or it could be incredibly loving, gentle, and a genuine plea for the relationship to improve. And I think that one of the most beautiful aspects of genuine love is going to somebody and saying, this is hurting me. And rather than just walking away, I want to give us a chance to work through this. So please do your part in working through this, because if you don't, you're going to lose me.
Hmm.
And that is generosity. That is a risk, that is vulnerable, that is confrontation. And those are a lot of things people are uncomfortable with. So to take that step, I think is yeah, I think it's a really big thing to do. Um, and to be clear, we cannot change someone else, right? That's not our job. But we are allowed to ask people
Hmm.
to be changed. We are allowed we are allowed to ask people to change.
Hmm.
Is that. So to be clear, this is a request. It is not a boundary. A boundary requires nothing of another person in order for you to enforce it. But a request, on the other hand, does ask for change, and it is not something you can enforce. It is simply an ask.
Yeah.
Would normalize, like, invalidate the tension between those two things.
Hmm. Yeah. I think there's so much nuance with that lyric.
Yeah. Oh, I get into it. I kind of want to know. I'm too impatient to like wait. You don't have to. It's up to you. We can.
No, I think we should. I think we should. The lyric is it insensitive for me to say this?
Hmm.
I think it really depends on the context
Okay.
and how they're defining what needs to change,
Sure. Yeah. So,
right?
like, say a little bit more.
Okay. Sometimes people make requests and they're reasonable requests, right? And I'm
Yep.
not the final judge on what a reasonable request is, but sometimes people make requests that are selfish or unkind or um, without acknowledging the other person's experience in a relationship.
Hmm.
And that is harmful. The way that this song is presented, I don't think is harmful because I'm picturing like because the home image is like stuck in my head, right? Like I'm picturing like basically an abandoned house and like the lights are all off and maybe even there's like junk everywhere and all the blinds are shut and like this person is just like hiding in there
Hmm.
and will not acknowledge, will not connect, and I have something that I cannot wait to talk to you about with that. Um,
Great.
but that's very different, right? Like if you're going to say that you're in a relationship, but that you're just going to stay shut down and not try to engage,
Hmm.
that's, I think that that's a reasonable request.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to stay in this relationship, you have to engage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if we're picturing this house as shut down because of depression or mental illness, how much of that is within that person's control? How much of that is something that like should be treated? But I guess it really depends on what the change needs to be, right? Is the change going to therapy? Is the change showering once a week? Is the change like, whatever that might be? For people who are severely depressed, any request can feel extremely overwhelming, but that doesn't mean the request isn't reasonable.
Sure.
Um, so just a lot of nuance to all of it.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think you make a good point that, like, if somebody is like demanding that somebody change from like a my love is conditional upon this change, right? Like that could get really toxic and it makes me question if it really is love. And
Mhm.
at the same time, like love without boundaries is like self-abandonment, right? Like that's not actually genuine love. Like love yourself, love others, like that those two pieces need to go together, in my opinion, in order to have boundaries and a sense of self and be in healthy community with other people. And so if it was said from the perspective of somebody like demanding, like fix yourself up so I can love you, like you're unlovable as you are, it's very different than approaching it like, because I love you, I need you to take responsibility and work on the things that are in your wheelhouse to work on.
Yeah, yeah. And there's one last thing I'm going to say, and then I want to hear more about what you prepared. But I think in this song, the request, as far as I've interpreted it, is vulnerability.
Hmm.
Tell me what's in the house. Tell me what's going on. Just tell me. And I see that in the lyric, tap on. I'm tapping on your window. Like, I'm here.
Hmm.
I'm ready to listen. I'm sitting outside the house. I'm staying even though I don't have to.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, you've made nowhere for me to stay. Like you've not prepared for me, but I'm still here.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, anything else you would validate?
Um, I have a little bit of validation in terms of encouragement that I will share at the end.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything you would challenge?
Oh, girl, I've been waiting for this.
Yay.
I do have a lot of challenges for this client.
I'm ready.
And I will say that it's been my experience that when I have the most challenge for a particular client or just any person in general, it is very rooted in so much empathy for their experience. So this client is in my office, they're sharing with me all of their frustrations and their hurts in this relationship. And I want to validate that they are real. Like, I agree with you. I think vulnerability is lacking here. I think there's actually a little bit more than that. Like, for example, I almost get the impression that this person and she kind of references this a little bit in the song, like, is it your anxiety or do you not just want to? So it's kind of like, is it mental health or are you like also making choices and chalking it up to mental health, and that's just kind of an excuse that you're making? So there's just a lot of nuance here. But as in every situation where a client is bringing up a relationship struggle, always want to bring it back to your choices and your roles in that relationship.
Hmm.
And this song for me didn't strike as having a strong self-reflection vibe, right? Like some songs we've covered, it's like, oh wow, you've been doing a lot of self-reflecting. Like I think in Exile we hear that, I think in Tolerate It we hear that. And in this song, maybe not quite as much. So let's explore your reflections and emotions around your role in the relationship. And you say there was nowhere for me to stay, but I stayed anyway. And I just want to get curious about that. What led to it? Do you have any regrets about that? And I would, if I was asking a client, I'd say, like, what are your emotions around that, right? Because I wouldn't want to ask a leading question about, do you have regrets about that? But I am wondering that internally, right? And, you're kind of putting yourself in a position where somebody's not made space for you. You say, if I would have known how sharp the pieces were you'd crumbled into, I might have let them lay. And I'm like, girl, do it now. It is not too late to draw a boundary. It is
Hmm.
not too late to say, this is beyond what I can handle, or this isn't working.
Hmm.
You can say that. It doesn't matter when that is. Even if you wish you had said it earlier, say it now. It's
Hmm.
okay. And then you bring up this point, let all your damage me and carry your baggage up my street and make me your future history. And I just want to ask the question, what is your role in protecting your street?
Hmm.
And do you allow yourself to become someone else's future history, right? Because you're making a good point. Like, this is maybe how the person was treating you, but these are also dynamics that you have agreed to when you don't stop them, right? Like when you don't draw a line. And so, like, even just like when you're tapping on the window, the shape of you was jagged and weak, right? So, like, you saw something was going on. You looked around this metaphorical house and you were like, there's not physical room for me. They're not even opening the door, they're not answering the doorbell. Like, you're having to go to the room and like tap, 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 right? Like, just the mismatch in effort is palpable throughout the song.
Hmm. Hmm.
I do want to kind of explore, is there a potential codependent dynamic? And for our listeners who maybe are not aware, codependency is essentially like it's a form of enmeshment where how I like to describe it is, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Ashleigh, is I don't know where I end and you begin.
Hmm.
There is confusion about how to be my own person and in relationship with you. And so I have to compromise and I have to blend myself with who you are and what you want and what your needs are in order for me to stay in this relationship. And I'm kind of wondering if there's a little bit of that dynamic going on here.
Yeah.
So I want to really challenge this and really like push that self-reflection, like, because you're saying, if I had known, and I'm like, okay, but there were signs.
Hmm.
And no judgment on the fact that you don't see them because we don't know what we don't know at the time. But sometimes hindsight is 2020 and we look back and we're like, oh, there were signs, but for some reason those got missed. And
Hmm.
so I'm always exploring with my clients, where are you having these gut instincts? And maybe it's just a flash, maybe it's a thought, maybe it's a persistent little nudge. I don't know what that is for you, but somehow it got dismissed. And we
Hmm.
need to go back to that place, right? Not with
Hmm.
judgment, not with blame, but with curiosity. When did you begin to leave yourself and focus on this person to your own detriment?
Yep.
So that's my challenge.
It's a great challenge. I have no
Not
notes
to say that's
exactly.
not
Yeah, no, well done. Anything you would recommend?
Yeah, I'd recommend that it's okay to acknowledge that the things that drew you into the dynamic at first may have been empathy, understanding, compassion. Like, there could have been a lot of good things. Like, maybe you saw the potential in that person, like, whatever it is. These are excellent qualities,
Hmm.
good things. But empathy without boundaries is self abandonment. And boundaries don't have to be harsh. In fact, they shouldn't be. They can and should come from love, from compassion, from love of self and others, because boundaries will give you that clarity and that definition. And so that's my big recommendation for this person, is to explore some of your questions through that lens. So you're asking the question, is it really your anxiety that stops you from giving me everything, or do you just not want to? And like, first of all, whoa, you're picking up on a big dynamic here because this is where I'm like, there might be some potential manipulation here. Like, is this person using a mental health to explain or justify or dismiss harmful behaviors, right? And mental health is real and it is an explanation. It does inform our behaviors, and we still have to have responsibility for those behaviors. It's
Yep.
not a free for all, like, oh, I have anxiety, thus I can't or I am. Like, it's not that simple, right? So really lean into like the parts of you that are asking these hard questions. And I would even take it a step further to say, while this is a great question that you might be asking the other person, the answer that you give might be the most important answer
Mm.
because ultimately you're in charge of your response.
Hmm. And
And
that's where the boundary part is, right? Like your response to this is where the boundary starts.
amen. That's it. Exactly. So like there has to be this sense of I might be looking for that external answer from another person, but really, if I'm doubting this person's sincerity, if I have questions and those questions never feel like they're genuine, like those answers, like the vibe that I'm getting, like, okay, well, then you've got to sit with that,
Hmm.
right? You can ask the other person, that's information, but you have to make the decision with it. They can't decide it for you. They can't just give you an answer and then that's your decision. You have to process it, whether that is staying or that is leaving. So
Hmm.
my recommendation is come back to yourself, answer your own questions, check in with yourself and honor your own limits, even if those limits make you uncomfortable. Because sometimes I think we do get ourselves in situations and we're like, I want to be able to handle this. I want to be able to stay. And it's not working for me.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
a tension to hold. But just because you want something doesn't mean you are able to do that thing.
right. Yeah.
All I've got,
And just because you want somebody to change doesn't mean they are going to or have to.
because it's their choice.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
I think one of the deepest forms of self respect is allowing somebody else to have autonomy, allowing somebody else to be their own person and make their own choices, even when that breaks your heart. That is
Hmm.
still respecting their choice and their autonomy, even if it's something that is sad and hard for you to bear.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Katie. What would you say to encourage this person?
Keep up the confrontation. This song is so confrontational, and I really love that energy because this person is confronting things in themselves, and they're confronting
Mm.
things in the other person and in the relational dynamic between them. So
Hmm.
don't stop doing that. Good, great things come from exploring and challenging a relationship, and it is worthwhile, and you don't need the outcome of the relationship to make it worthwhile. Like you will get a lot out of this process,
Yeah.
whether or not you stay or leave. So keep going. You're doing good work. Lean into
Hmm.
it some more.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Um, Thanks for sharing those thoughts.
Of course. Ashley, I'm ready to hear what your lyrics are. Let's get into it.
Yes. Similar from what you said. I tapped on your window in your darkest night. There was nowhere for me to stay, but I stayed anyway. If I would have known how many pieces you had crumbled into, I might have let them lay. And then later in the song, she says how sharp the pieces are. So they kind of like they crumble and then they're sharp. Um, and then open the blinds, let me see your face. And Katie, the thing that I was excited to talk to you about is in the lyric video, there's a, a video of Taylor and she is inside the house holding the blinds from the inside.
What? I did not watch the lyric video, so I will definitely be doing that after this. So she's inside the house, holding the blinds open.
She's the blinds are like they're like half open, so the light's coming through a little bit, and she kind of like peeks out.
Wait. So she's not like outside the house tapping in, she's inside the house looking out. Oh, that changes so much, right? Like that like implies that like she's like looking outside. Like I've been in it and now I'm thinking I need to get out of it and I'm looking at like oh
It's a big difference. And I don't know if they just weren't thinking about that or if she was like playing a part in being inside the house, like looking outside, or what it all means. But if it means that she's the one inside the house, that's a really big difference.
oh wait a second. So what you're think like your interpretation of that is that she's the one inside the house crumbling. Oh, because when you first said that, I was like, she got in the house with the other person, realized it's too jagged, it's too sharp, like this isn't working, and then she's looking for a way out.
Oh, it could be any of those. It
It
could be any
really
of those.
could be. And this is why we make such a good team.
I just thought that that was such an interesting detail that they didn't have one of her like tapping on a window. They had one of her like inside. So I don't know.
Oh, wait, that changes everything. If she's like singing from like if this song is from like the like her perspective. And I'm not saying that like Taylor's writing this about herself, but like from like if this song were a client, like the client's singing the song about themselves.
Hmm.
Ah, and they're like narrating from the other person's perspective of being in a relationship with them. That's such a good insight. I'm so curious now. And see, this is why I wish Taylor was not a billionaire and global superstar, and she was just this indie folk artist that we could just like DM on Instagram and be like, hey, come to our podcast and give us details as to our interpretation of your song.
Taylor, let's break it down one song by one song, just one song at a time. Let's just hear it all
Like all
because
100 of them, let's go.
that's not too much to ask, right? That's completely reasonable.
That's unbelievable. Like, honestly, you'd be honored.
So I would love to hear our listeners' perspective on that. What do you think, what role do you think she's playing in that lyric video, and how do you kind of interpret that? Because it was an interesting detail that I hadn't realized before.
Yeah, same.
Um,
Okay. Are those all the lyrics, or you have more to read?
yeah, those are all the lyrics.
Okay, let's jump in. What questions would you ask this client?
What hope were you holding on to keep showing up and staying when it didn't seem like you were wanted?
Oh, wow. Framing that as like hope. Mm,
What was it like to be hurt when trying so hard to fix or help?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Ashley, you do such a good job of like drawing out like the emotion underneath. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. Those were my two questions.
Those are good ones. You're really like seeing you like you do a really exceptional job of like reading between the emotional lines of like you have hope and you're hurt. And those are two painful things to coexist at the same time, right? Hope is so fragile and pain is so palpable.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. What would you validate for this person?
Relationships are important and worth the work and worth the sacrifice sometimes. You've sacrificed a lot for this person. To me, I mean, not like actually, but like emotionally sleeping outside in the dead of night, waiting to be let in, um, getting hurt by these sharp pieces, bleeding, like there's some major toll that's taking place here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For sure. Any other validations, or would you like to move on to challenge?
Let's challenge.
I'm ready.
How can you care for yourself? Not all that different from what you were pulling out, Katie. How can you protect yourself? What boundaries need to be put in place? Do you need a break? And the biggest question I asked was, do they want this? Do they
Yeah.
want you to be sleeping outside? You know? And I think that could have two meanings. Like maybe they don't know how to get out of their own house. They don't know how to open it up for you.
Mhm.
Or are you doing too much? Like are you perceiving this in a way that like you're working so hard for something that isn't even there?
Or maybe something like it's the potential, right? Because I think that's a dynamic that's familiar for a lot of people, which is I see the potential in this. I see what this could be. And that is, again, what gives us hope. And there needs to be reciprocity in a relationship.
And if you are sacrificing a lot for the hope of somebody's potential, take a step back.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And again, like the self-reflection, like really dig into this.
Mm-hmm.
If I can add here, I don't know about you. Did you pick up on any like some anger in this song?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I hear the anger and the conflict in these lyrics. Um, are you really going to talk about timing in times like these?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really? You're gonna like, and it's interesting because timing hasn't been brought up before this, so it's like we're getting like a snippet, like this little snapshot of a fight or something, or a conflict or a conversation. Let all your damage me. Like, there's some like this indignation, and I didn't touch on this, but I think in your challenge and in mine, like I kind of want to like explore this client's anger, right? Because boundaries can flow from our anger, right? Because our anger is there to say, this isn't okay, like make some
Mm-hmm.
change, right? And like all of these questions. Are you gonna talk about time? Are you gonna let your damage me? Are you gonna carry your baggage up my street? Make me your future history? Like just like bam, 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 like four questions in a row.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so interesting because I kind of picture this going back to the whole reason we're doing this is like I view this as the in process song before Exile.
Oh, well, Mac, I hope you're listening because that's the time right there.
Like this person is almost kind of reflecting on like where they're at before they take action.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like even like the word, right? Like renegade, right? Because like a renegade, like that's like rebellion, that's, somebody's going against the grain, like, and it's just like you wouldn't be the first renegade, like I just hear sassy, saucy, like yeah, like kind of how dare you kind of vibes, right? And again, I want to explore the underside of that anger because oftentimes we're angry because we care.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. This matters to us. So we're going to fight. We're gonna get mad. And we also have to listen of like, have they been themselves all along?
Mm-hmm.
You were not willing to see it for what it was. Or maybe you just didn't. You didn't have the experience or the awareness to see it. Like maybe it was denial, maybe it was ignorance. And like, both are okay, right? But we just have to call it for what it is, whichever one it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's really important. And just like acknowledging reality.
Yeah, 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 exactly, exactly. Any other challenges there?
No,
Okay. Recommendations.
allow that person to ask for what they want instead of what doing what you think they want. Unless it's a kid or like a person is in danger, right? Allow somebody to request what they want. Sometimes people can find it difficult to request, and that's like its own camp. Other people don't want the type of help that you're forcing upon them. And so allowing somebody the opportunity to really ask kind of gives them autonomy, kind of going back to what you were saying, Katie.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love the way that you frame it too, of like empowering or like leaving space for that person to do it. Because again, like in a codependent dynamic, right? What, and I don't know that this is 100% that, but like if it is, that often involves a monitoring. What do
Mhm.
you need? How do I interpret that? And then respond accordingly. And it's less like this agency and autonomy of somebody self-reflecting and like advocating for themselves by asking for help. So I really like how you brought specificity there, Ashley.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's important. I think it's an important distinction.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Any other recommendations?
No, I think no.
What encouragement would you offer?
You have a caring heart and you're willing to go above and beyond. And that is such a good quality. Like when used, I'm going to say the words for good, like when used for good, when used in a healthy way,
Yeah,
that is such an incredible quality and such a gift to those around you.
yeah,
When it's causing harm at the same time, that's the hard part.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just it all like I mean, I knew you'd love the song because it's all about boundaries, right? But like that's like where it comes back to. It's just like you really have to put parameters around yourself and
Mhm.
stick to them and listening to that anger, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. No, I love it. I think it's a great encouragement. Like
Yeah.
and I think that's important too, because I don't know about you, but I've definitely encountered people who they come through a situation where they've been really hurt and then they look back on it and they're like, oh, that was on me, right? Like, and maybe if I wasn't compassionate, maybe if I wasn't empathetic, then I wouldn't get hurt. And it's like, well, we have to differentiate between like, no, like the compassion and empathy is not what got you in trouble. It was those things that didn't have boundaries, right? Like those things need to be boundaried, and that's what helps you, right? So like looking back and reflecting on the exact thing that went wrong instead of like, shame often wants us to look at like the good and like see that as the bad. And we
Hmm.
have to have the reframe and the skill to be able to differentiate the two.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I do think it's a skill. I think it takes a lot of self-reflection, it takes a lot of insight, it takes the ability and the courage to say no.
Which I think really comes back to parts work, right? Like we've talked a lot about parts work in our other episodes, but um, looking back at the part of yourself that lived through something and got hurt from that, and like not hating that part, not shaming that part or judging it, but learning from that experience and listening to the goodness of that part, keeping that intact, like that. Like we say skill, like that's what came up for me of like, oh, like you have to really work at this. And if somebody's sitting there going like, well, I'm just bad at it. And I'm like, same. Like, of course. Like
Yeah.
nobody's really born with like the ability to do this. You have to learn that. You have to
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, that's such a good insight. And I wanted to say too, I really love that you use the word conflict in your part of this because it's addressing that you can have conflict with yourself. Like I
Yeah.
think because that's why I was like, I don't hear conflict necessarily. And I do now that we've talked about it a little bit more, I understand that there is some like conversation happening here sometimes. But also even just like internally feeling conflicted or feeling like frustrated, like why am I doing all of this work
Mhm.
when it's not doing anything? Nothing's coming of this except I'm tired.
Yes. Yeah, and like I mean, and the word that she uses in the song is demolish. You fire off missiles because you hate yourself, but you know you're demolishing me, right? Like this person's self-loathing is taking you down. And
Hmm.
like, yes, you can bring this to their attention and you can make that request for them to stop. But if they don't stop firing those missiles, you got to take yourself out of the line of fire.
Katie,
Oh, yes.
we just had a conversation about a song about missiles. What was that? Or battleships. Battleships sink beneath the waves. What song was that?
Oh my gosh. My tears ricochet.
My Tears Ricochet.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think it's like similar imagery there?
Um, Not really because like I think that the undertone of My Tears Ricochet is like greed. Like you're wearing the jewels I gave you as you bury me. Like that, like that's just like that's some like villain crap, just like, I'm gonna take your gift and then I'm gonna bury you while I wear it. Like that's like so dark and like just speaks of like this unchecked greed. Whereas this one feels like it's like more like the mental health component of like this person's got some self-loathing.
Hmm.
And then but they're not, it's not just staying inward, like they're projecting that outward. And yeah. So I what about you? Like do you feel like there's a connection there?
I'm just looking back at my notes on it. I think you're right. I definitely greed is a part of that song, and that I don't hear that as much in this. Um, I didn't have it in myself to go with Grace, and so the battleships will sink beneath the waves. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had to kill me, but it killed you just the same. That's what I was trying to remember.
Yes, yes, I see the parallels there. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right that like two very different topics. But also in both songs, I'm seeing this pattern of like this person is trying to hurt me, or maybe not even trying to hurt me, but I'm getting hurt and it's hurting them, right? Like it's not going to be helpful for somebody if they're struggling with their mental health to not have community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so just a different perspective.
Yeah. It's really interesting that you brought that up because before we recorded, I watched an interview of Aaron Dessner, being like asked about the song and Big Machine Records and all of that. And, or sorry, not Machine Records, Big Red Machine. And, she recorded this at the same time she was recording Folklore.
Oh,
And it was a
interesting.
question about whether or not the song would be on Folklore or whether or not it would be on Big Red Machine. And
Oh,
ultimately, she decided this was Aaron's song. And so, like, she like let him have it, but like, it was within that same window. So, like, I think the parallels that we're seeing between Folklore and this song are because they were recorded around the same timeline, I think, in 2020.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because this isn't even on one of her albums. This is on Big Red Machine's album.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I,
Well, oh,
oh, sorry.
you go.
I have a question about one lyric that neither of us have discussed, but
Oh,
it's been on my mind.
okay.
So this lyric comes right after you fire off missiles because you hate yourself, but you know you're demolishing me. And then you squeeze my hand as I'm about to leave. That lyric is another sign to me that feels manipulative.
I can see the manipulation, but when I heard that,
You had a different reaction to it.
I did. I had a lot of empathy. Like, in the sense that somebody could be very depressed. Just the thought that somebody's willing to sit outside the house and be there for you. And when they like begin to leave, saying like, no, please. Like, this is all the energy that I have. Like,
Mhm.
please don't go.
Yeah.
Not saying that that's healthy,
Mhm.
but I just had a lot of empathy for that
Again,
construct.
such a valid perspective. Such a This is why I texted you that I was feeling spicy about this episode and I had feelings about it for that exact reason, right? That like, I could really see this going in multiple directions. Like maybe that's like the manipulation of just like, I've been really mean to you, and yet here's a little bit of kindness, just enough of connection to like make you to want to stay. That can be a manipulation tactic. And I do want to distinguish, not all manipulation is cognitive. Like it's not always like somebody's like super aware of what they're doing. Like manipulation, I think, is often subconscious. And without saying that it's malicious, we can say it's harmful, right? Like those things can coexist together. But like also what you're saying of like, if we just take it as this person's like genuinely struggling and that's all they have to give in that moment, like that is really like, yeah, that does stir empathy, which I think is part of the tension of the song, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like going back to what was the hope that sorry if you're hearing my dog. What was the hope of like that kept you staying, right? If that's the hope that they keep doing that and it's every time you leave, it's not in other times too,
Yeah.
that's that is manipulative.
Right. And then like five times in one stanza is like you wouldn't be the first renegade to need somebody, to need somebody, to need somebody, to need somebody. Like that just like the repetition of that like almost implies like I need someone, I need someone, I need someone. And it's like, yeah, you do. And you need to do some work yourself.
hmm I hear that lyric differently. I hear that lyric as like it's okay to need somebody. Why aren't you accepting the fact that you could?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, again, yes. Like just depends on like what emotional state you're listening to the song, right? Like just it's polyvagal theory. Story follows state. Like I think that's spicy, and that's why I like read this in such like a darker way than you did.
And that's good. I mean, it's helpful to hear different perspectives too, because one, it's art.
Yes.
Two, relationships are really complex and it's not things that people say aren't always interpreted in the same way.
Mhm.
And that's why it's hard to read people's minds. It's not just hard for men to read women's minds, going back to our response previously, but it's you can't just pretend like you know what somebody needs or what somebody wants. It's important to communicate that and really understand.
Yeah. Yeah. The nuance of where that person's coming through and their own experience in it, right? Like, is the client that we're working with right now, are they experiencing this from the sense of like telling them you need somebody, or are they experiencing this from like the other person saying I need somebody and yet still not taking responsibility in the areas where it is theirs to own?
Hmm
it, there's room for both all of that to be true,
Yeah.
depending on.
Yeah.
Well, Ashleigh, this has been a wonderful episode to record with you. Thank you, as always, for bringing your different and interesting perspective. Listeners, we hope you really have enjoyed this episode. I know it's a bit longer, so thanks for sticking with us if you've made it to the end. As always, Jeremy, thank you so much for editing. If you have any songs or comments, please drop them below. You can find us at TheraTay Podcast on YouTube and on Instagram. And then you can email us at therataypodcast@gmail.com for any requests or comments. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode.